Did you know that nearly 60% of massage therapists leave the industry within just 5 years due to burnout and low wages and lack of support? Now imagine a business that not only flips that script, but builds a thriving $1 million model without tips, without memberships, and with zero, that's pretty impressive, Amber, zero burnout. That's exactly what today's guest has done. I'm your host, Beverly Cornell, founder and fairy godmother of brand clarity at Wickedly Branded. I have over 25 years of experience helping hundreds of purpose-driven entrepreneurs awaken their brand magic and boldly bring it to life so that they can magnify their impact on the world. And today we are diving deep into business reinvention, healing leadership, and disrupting an industry that desperately needed it. With someone who has walked the walk, my guest is Amber Briggle, founder and franchisor of Soma Massage Therapy based in Texas. What started as a side hustle to just buy groceries has now grown into 2 thriving locations, 25 employees, and over $1 million in annual revenue, all while staying fiercely values-driven. She's here to share how she built the business, why tipping is off the table, and what it means to scale with integrity. Amber, welcome to the show.
That was a great read-in, Beverly. Thanks so much for having me today. I'm really excited.
Amber, take us back to the beginning. We talk about spark and ignite. So take us back to the spark. What inspired you to go from a liberal studies degree, I believe, right? To launching a massage business from scratch?
Yeah, I couldn't find a job. That's quite honestly what it was. I went to a really great 4-year private liberal arts, all girls Catholic university in Minnesota. It was a fantastic school. I got zero regrets. But when I graduated, I was having a really hard time finding a job, partly because I had a really great degree that made me fascinating at cocktail parties, but wasn't necessarily marketable, but partly also, Beverly, quite honestly, I just didn't really know what I wanted to do with life. And so it's like, I didn't really know how to apply this degree because I didn't really know what my passion was. We being my now husband, we ended up getting married after he graduated, but we ended up moving around a little bit. We landed in Boulder, Colorado, where he was going to grad school. He was getting a PhD, and I was working in a dead-end job that just was not really fulfilling, making $9 an hour. And I still didn't really know what it was that I wanted to do, but I knew I needed something more. I felt I probably should go back to school. But again, I was like, do I get another degree? Do I get a master's? I was just floundering. What do I want to do? Turns out in Boulder, back then, the school's closed now, but for a long time, for many years, the best massage school in the world was right there in Boulder, Colorado. Because of course, like if you live in Boulder, you're like a yoga instructor, a dog whisperer, or a massage therapist, right? So like the best massage school in the world was like right down the road. It was only a 1-year program. I'm like, I can do anything for a year. I signed up. I registered for school. I had never gotten a professional massage in my life. But like I said, it was a 1-year commitment. I'm like, I can do this for a year. And also, I'm a very personable person. I like being with people. I'm very touchy-feely. I've always been very interested in alternative healing and holistic medicine. And I was like, this just seems like something that I would probably enjoy. So I applied to school. I was accepted. I graduated a year later with honors, and I ended up killing it. I worked as a solopreneur in Boulder for a couple of years before my husband, who then had a PhD at that point, got a postdoc opportunity in the Netherlands. And we were in our 20s. We didn't even have a goldfish or a house plant. We had a month-to-month lease. And when the Netherlands calls you when you're in your 20s, like you answer that call, and we packed up and moved abroad. Being a massage therapist, wherever I go, my hands can go too. And so I started business there, started a family there, and then eventually we moved to Denton, Texas in the Dallas area, which is where we're at now. At that point, was loving what I do. I love people were always so happy to see me, and I would make them feel better. And like their migraines were getting less frequent and less severe, and their range of motion was getting better. And like their blood pressure was lowering, and they could maybe take less medication. I could see the value of what I was doing, and I wanted to do it for as many people as possible. So we moved to the Dallas area. I started just working out of the spare room of my home. At that point, we had a toddler, so I was working around my husband's schedule. Still just looking for grocery money, but really seeing the potential that my healing touch could bring to others, and eventually just meeting the need as it arose. There's only so much massage I can do in a day. It's very exhausting work, not only physically, but energetically as well. And I would just get to the point where I had so many clients that they would book like a standing appointment. Like, I want this same appointment with you every other Thursday at 3:00. And you do that enough times and your schedule gets booked. And what happened, Beverly, is like, you might be coming in for your regular massages, but you might just wake up one morning and reach for a coffee cup and sneeze at the same time and do something to your neck. So they would call and they'd be like, I hurt my neck. How soon can you see me? You and I are recording this at the beginning of April. Probably if you were to call me today, Beverly, my next opening would be like sometime between Father's Day and the 4th of July, because I just didn't have any openings. And that's not something that your clients want to hear. And that's not something that I, as a massage therapist, wanted to tell them. So I would start referring them out to other people in the area who I knew gave quality touch, even if they weren't me. They would go see them to get that work. And then more often than not, land back on my table in a couple weeks' time for the regular appointment. But sometimes they wouldn't. Sometimes out of the massage therapist, easier to get in to see, right? Because they could get a same day appointment with her or him, maybe closer to where they lived or worked or was. Like, just a variety of factors might end up just, they've established a relationship with this other therapist, they end up staying with them. And I realized pretty quickly it would make more sense to refer people in-house. So I started a business. I did all the things that small business owners need to do with the website and the LLC and the EIN and all that stuff. Gradually, eventually hired someone whose work was similar enough to mine that on my busiest days, it would be a smooth transition for my clients. Then she got busy. So I hired another and another. And eventually we moved out of my house. We moved to a brick and mortar that was about a mile away. It was impossible to find, but somehow we made it work. And then we're really cruising along, doing great until COVID hit. We were looking for another space to expand. And then the pandemic hit. And 85% of massage therapists are women. And you and your listeners understand deeply how bad women fared with our careers during the pandemic, because we still make less than men. So if schools are going to close and there's no camps and no daycare and no one to watch the kids, the person who's making less, usually the woman, is the one who's going to have to quit her job. So I had no workforce. We were closed for a couple of months here in Texas. And by the time I reopened, 2 months later, my workforce had been slashed from 13 people down to 4. We had 2 locations, had to combine them down into 1. And I was determined, like, I could not let this fail. Like, I didn't do anything wrong, right? So why would my business close? So I just somehow held this thing together and one by one hired new therapists, eventually moved to a new location. So a year after we had reopened, we had opened into beautiful space right downtown. It's got twice as many treatment rooms. I now have 25 massage therapists. I do have a second location again. We are now franchising. We gross over $1 million a year. And through every step of the way, I just tried to meet the needs of my clients. So when I got busy, I expanded. Now my business is almost at capacity. So I want to continue to expand to meet the healing needs of the entire country and go coast to coast and really not only transform the massage industry, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, but just provide that healing touch to as many people as possible. None of this was planned. It's all a happy accident, but I'm sure your listeners understand when the universe provides you an opportunity and it just feels right in your gut, you go for it. And that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
So my journey is so similar to you. I left a marketing career to follow my husband, who's active duty Army, and started freelancing with marketing just so I could be as mobile as he was. And 13 years ago, working remotely was not even like a thing.
Sure.
Really unusual. And started again, like grew and grew. COVID certainly affected us as well. And I love the phrase spit and scotch tape. And I wrote it down. We totally relate. Sometimes it is that grit and that resilience that just gets you through. Like, this will not fail. And there's such determination in that. That is what I think is so beautiful about entrepreneurs. Like, we love to build things. Yeah. When we want to build something, we're like pretty tenacious when it comes to that, like almost to a fault. I get a massage every month. That self-care for an entrepreneur is so essential. And I mean, I want a 2-hour massage when I go, because an hour goes by, I'm like just starting to relax. And I've had surgery on my hip and other things. It does really help, like range of motion and issues that I have. You talked about a couple of things that really resonated. One was it's physically exhausting and also energetically exhausting, because you're on the table and you can just suck the energy. And it's such a physical job. Like, you are using all your body to do this thing. And then you also have to mentally make sure you're covering all the different muscles and all the things. It's quite like a science and an art in many ways.
Wow.
And then you just have to read people because some people want to be chatty, some people don't. Like I love my massage therapist. She's super chatty. I love chatting with her, but I've had other therapists that I don't chat with at all. So everyone's kind of different there too. So talk about how like you went from freelancer to business, but also like this idea of no tipping, no membership model. Cause like I do use Massage Envy. That's like a membership model.
Yeah.
And it's great because when we move as an Army family, they're almost anywhere. Talk a little bit about this idea of no tipping, no membership, and what led to that decision, and how has it impacted both the client side of it and also the staff, the team?
I get that question a lot. That's a great question. The short answer is it happened very organically, right? So when I graduated from massage school, it was just me and I kept 100%. So I knew what are my overhead costs between rent and supplies, and I had an ad in the yellow pages, right? Well, I knew what I needed to pay my own bills. And that is how much I charged. I wanted massage to be accessible to people. Obviously, who doesn't like making money? I like making money, but I also have this passion for making sure that wellness is accessible, because a lot of times massage and therapy and chiropractic is just inaccessible to people who need it the most. Yeah. So what's that kind of like happy middle? What I found from that was it really set me apart from all the bazillion other massage therapists in Boulder, because many of them charge their rate, but then you'd also tip a little bit more. I set myself apart as being someone that didn't have a tipping policy. But the other thing too is I've always really seen massage as being more therapeutic in nature and not a fluff and buff. Like you've talked to the benefit of your 2-hour massages. Takes you an hour to unwind and then do the work, right? And you walk out and you're refreshed and you're renewed and you're ready to take on the world again and kick all the asses.
I think that entrepreneurs specifically, like the people who are doing this work and kicking asses, we need to rest our brains. Yeah. We need to rest our bodies. And in the business that I do, have to be creative. So if you don't have moments of resting your brain, you're never going to find and tap into that creativity. It's so important from a physical perspective and also the mental perspective, because
100%.
All of it. It's self-care. Self-care is a gift that most entrepreneurs, especially women who are balancing motherhood and business.
Yeah.
It is something that when we talk to our clients, like how much rest are you getting? How much self-care are you doing for yourself? Because it's so easy to burn out if you don't do that. This model of no membership is like no obligation. And also, I love the therapy side of it because it is therapeutic.
That's exactly my point. Like when I see a mental health therapist, do I tip her? Never. Have you ever tipped your chiropractor or your physical therapist?
No.
Because it's therapy, right?
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're now within our scope of practice. We're not adjusting muscles. We're not digging into your daddy issues. We're massage therapists, right? But nevertheless, it is complementary to all these other therapeutic modalities that we access. And you never tip your counselor, your chiropractor. Why would you be tipping us? What I found from that, not only did it set me apart from my competition, but it built into my clients this understanding that massage is medicine. Massage is self-care. It's not a thing that you do twice a year on your birthday and when your sister-in-law comes to town and they're like, grease you up and slide you out to the car. We're getting in there and we're like breaking down that scar tissue. We're helping you stand up straighter. We're getting rid of those adhesions. We're fixing you, right? And what I've found is that my clients, when they enter into this space with that sort of mindset, and when I enter into this space as a massage therapist, knowing that this is therapy, I am healing, I am helping you. I'm not just greasing you up. When we enter that space together, what's more likely to happen is I'm going to provide a more therapeutic massage that really meets the need of that client. And the client is more likely to understand that this is the thing I need to do regularly. We don't need a membership because people come back because they understand the value of it. Now, we do have packages that operate somewhat similar to a membership, but you're not getting at some level, you don't get billed every month. We've got snowbirds down here in Texas that just aren't here for many months out of the year. Because of the therapeutic nature of the work that we're doing. We have people who go in for surgery and they just can't get a massage for 4 or 5 months. Life happens, right? And we don't want to keep billing you. And then it's like causing more stress. That's the opposite of what we should be doing. We do have packages that you can space out as far out as you need, but we still have a certain time frame to use that package, so that by the time you get to the end of that package, you're like, oh yeah, no, I feel different in my body and in my mind, and I want to keep going. So those things have really set myself apart as a massage therapist. And then when I eventually opened a business. I'm like, that worked. So let's keep doing it. And it's worked really well here at Soma Massage Therapy. And it is one of those things that we really amplify now that we're franchising as one of the things that does set us apart because we are drastically different. We pay a living wage to our therapists because they're not getting tips. So they don't have to stress if they get a couple bad tippers in a week, but now they can't pay for gas to get to work, which then stresses everybody out. I'd pay them a good living wage like a healthcare worker, which keeps our turnover low, which gives me more space as a CEO to look to the horizon. Where are we going? It also keeps our clients happy because what happened if your massage therapist left Beverly?
It is devastating.
Yeah. And then we would lose your business because you've gone elsewhere to find your massage therapist. So treat your people well, treat your therapist well. They're going to treat the clients well, and that's going to treat the business well.
So good. Talk about a story of how your particular business has really affected either a client or a team member and changed their life. Has there been someone who's really been affected by this model?
I'm trying to narrow it down to maybe one and still protect their privacy. I've been doing this work for 20 years. I've seen clients get up out of wheelchairs for real. I've seen clients reduce their blood pressure medication because they're coming regularly. People's golf swings are better. Their range of motion is improved. I am still licensed, but I don't practice anymore. And I do deeply miss it. But I loved when my clients would, as an example, when I worked in the Netherlands, I had a client who had just like excruciating, debilitating migraines that would happen regularly. And when I was living in the Netherlands back then, it was about, oh gosh, maybe 17, 18 years ago. Plus, I was in a small town. Massage really wasn't a thing. It wasn't a very popular thing. And so I really had to be creative in my outreach to build my business when I lived there. And eventually I got this client on my table who every other week would come in for 90 minutes because her migraines were just killing her and nothing else seemed to work. And after a few months, she started telling me, I'm still getting my migraines, but they're less severe. And then eventually it was like, I'm getting my migraines less frequently. And then eventually it was like, I'm just getting headaches. And she was doing other things too. She was seeing her physiotherapist and taking medication, but massage was another thing that she was able to add to her care regimen that really helped improve her quality of life. Yes, we still keep in touch today. And when I go back and see her, she's like, when are you opening a Soma massage therapy here in the Netherlands? And I'm like, who do you know? Send them my way. Because she really understood, once I could get someone on my table and exhibit my quality of touch and I could really experience that, they really understood the value. And so it was, for me, my big focus at every point in my career, whether I'm new to an area or growing a business or whatever it was, is how can I go to the people? I can't wait for them to come to me, because if you don't understand the value of massage and you haven't felt my quality of touch, you don't understand what I'm talking about. So how can I go to the people? And that's still part of our big marketing outreach, is like, how can we be top of mind for everyone in our area so that when they do hurt, they think of us first instead of someone else or something else.
So many of our clients and guests on the podcast, they've been on a journey with their business, right? And they've evolved so much. Their approach has evolved. What do you think has evolved the most for you? And what inspired the change? Hey, I just want to take this moment to let you know that I have been nominated for 2 categories in this year's Women Podcasters Awards. First one is Expert Guest, and the second is Business Podcaster of the Year. If this podcast has inspired you, taught you something new, or just kept you company on your business journey, I'd love your vote. Voting is open May 1st through the 31st. Check the link in the episode description to vote. Thanks so much for being part of this magic. It means so much to me. Now, back to the show.
I think what's evolved the most for me is that I went from not knowing what it was in the world I was going to do and stumbling forward into this happy accident of being a healer, and now really having this bold vision of transforming the massage industry and healing thousands of people on a daily basis, right? I did not go to school for business. I was a music major, and then they beat the love of music out of me with all the theory classes I had to take. So then I switched to liberal studies, which, like I said, make me really interesting at cocktail parties, but wasn't really a direction. right? I was still floundering in my mid-20s when I discovered this innate thing. I was born for this work. And I just had to find the right space to cultivate it, which happened to be living in Boulder and going to massage school. And as I see the value, like I said, I just have wanted to continually meet the needs of my community. And now we're in a space, we have a really compelling story, almost completely closing forever, to turning it around in a year's time with twice as many rooms, a bazillion massage therapists, and making a ton of money. That's a story. And I want to not only transform this industry and heal as many people as possible, but also, Beverly, provide really high paying jobs for people who don't necessarily need a college degree. For someone who's in a dead end job and is sick of their boss's crap and wants to start off on their own and own their own business and be in charge of their own destiny. Someone who is really interested in wellness or serving others, whatever. You don't even have to be a massage therapist, just someone who wants more control. You're entrepreneurs. These are your people, right? Like everyone here listening to your podcast has a dream, right? I want to have those kinds of people, whether it's your listeners, someone they know, anyone, someone who has a dream for something bigger, to buy into this franchise model and not only be in charge of your own destiny, but then heal your community. Who wouldn't want to be a part of that? I don't know, again, if I answered your question, I feel like I go off on a little bit of a tangent, but it's not like I have this flow chart of day one, I graduate from college, and by the time I'm 50, I'm making all this money. It was just a gut feeling along the way of this is the next right thing. And I think a lot of your listeners can understand.
Oh, yeah.
Like you just know it when you see it. And then when the door opens, you're like, yep, this feels right. Yeah. And what I'm doing right now in my career really feels right for right now. Yeah.
Has there been one aspect that has been the most challenging or that you like didn't know you could do it, but actually are really good at it?
It's been all the aspects, honestly. I'm a really good massage therapist and liken it to baby-proofing your house. So there's going to be problems along the way, but you're like, I'll get to it when I get to it. And I have certainly stumbled along the way. But now, after doing this for 20 years, I feel like I've seen it all. And I have such a clear understanding of who we are, where we're going. And I don't have all the answers. I don't think anyone does, but I certainly have built a good network now. CPAs, insurance brokers, lawyers, other small business owners who are going through it too, even other massage therapists who own different studios. I built this community so that if I don't have the answer, I at least now know where to go. But yes, I have had to make it up every step of the way. And then we got to a point where I got through COVID pretty strong. And I just felt, I don't want to say invincible because I definitely understand what's at stake if I don't do it right. But I just saw that clearly I know what I'm doing. I know something. I was able to navigate a global pandemic that nearly decimated my business, that decimated a lot of businesses and came out even stronger. So I'm like, why don't I teach other people how to do this too? But yeah, HR has been a struggle. How do you work with people who are not on board with your vision? Eventually, you just have to cut the tie. And it's a hard lesson to learn, right? We're now transitioning all of our independent contractor therapists to employees. I understand it's a stronger business model, going to cost me a lot of money. It's the right thing to do. Tech. I don't know tech, but I know the right people who can fix the problems when I need it. So again, I don't know all the answers, but after 20 years, I figured it out enough that I feel like I've got a solid foundation to help others who want to pursue starting a business with us as a franchisee, whatever it is. Happy to sit down for coffee with people and do podcasts like this to barf my knowledge out there for people. I don't have all the answers, but I've got a pretty good foundation at this point. Yeah.
So this season's big question is about awakening your brand magic. We help our clients all day long awaken their brand magic. And I think awakening your brand magic or being wickedly branded means different things to different people. But for us, it means really getting clear. And you talked a lot about clarity about who you are. How did you awaken your brand magic? And was there a moment or something specifically that everything aligned and you saw this unique magic you bring to the table? Or was it like a reflection from somebody else? What happened to get so clear?
That's a great question. COVID. I'm sorry to keep going back to it, but you can't do massage from 6 feet apart. You can't do it online. We don't deliver. We don't do curbside. Most of my employees are women. So like you put all out together, it's left like a traumatic scar in my body. That was really effing hard.
Yeah.
And again, I was just determined. I'm like, I cannot let this fail. So what I did during the months that we were closed is I created a virtual massage studio, which sounds crazy because I just said we can't do massage virtually. And let me back up. Our governor would close businesses for 2 weeks at a time. And so I would get online and I look at our schedule and I would literally call every single person. I wouldn't send out a mass email because it's my job to care for you. I'm not going to send out a mass email. We've got to reschedule. We're going to push it out 2 weeks. And if we still have to reschedule, I'll call you in 2 weeks. But here's where we're at. How you doing? How are you hanging in there? Do you need anything? And a lot of times on these calls, people would be like, oh, I'm so stressed out and I overdid it with yoga and I did something to my pelvis. Do you have any recommendations? And I would walk them through on the phone, self-massage or some gentle stretches or whatever it was. Have enough of these phone calls. And eventually I'm like, I think I need to take this online. So I started a virtual massage studio where I would put on pants and makeup every day and do some self-care for myself. And I'd get out a tennis ball and I'd be like, here's how you massage your butt with a tennis ball. Here's some essential oil that you can order right now from Amazon. It will get delivered to you in 24 to 48 hours. And you can apply it here. It's going to help with this. Are your sinuses killing you and you can't touch your face? Here's some DIY reflexology, right? You're sitting at home and you're doom scrolling all day. And here comes my happy face teaching you how to care for yourself. And those videos took off, right? People started following us and liking us and commenting and buying gift certificates, even though we were closed because they wanted to come see us. Then as we were reopening, I know we can't keep 6 feet apart. And I needed to do everything I could to keep my massage therapist and my clients safe from a pandemic, because I knew that if COVID started spreading in my business, not only would that make me an irresponsible person, but it's bad for business, right? So I installed like $1,000 air scrubber in my HVAC unit. I did not have $1,000. But I never want to be that person who values money more than people. That's gross. And I amplified this. I was like, this is what we're doing. And people would like and comment on that. We required masks, which was like in Texas, really controversial, right? And I'm like, no, your nurse and your doctor is wearing a mask. We are in the healthcare field. We cannot keep 6 feet apart from you. So we're going to wear masks and you're going to wear a mask. And if you have a problem with it, there's the door. And they would leave. And I would make sure to point out, I wouldn't name them specifically, but I'd get on social media, be like, here's a thing that happened today and it sucks. And I feel bad, but this is the right thing to do. And people would like and comment. They'd be like, oh, my other place is cutting corners and they're not sanitizing things. And I really want to come see you. So I started to really understand through this process that by meeting people's needs, whether it was through a virtual massage studio or just letting them know that I value their safety more than anything else, really getting down to the foundation of why am I doing this work? It's caring for people. And when I can show people how I'm caring for them, they're going to want to come see us. And that's exactly what happened. And then one thing led to another and we kept growing. And I really feel like I found my voice in that. I understood that when you do the right thing, the rest is going to fall into place. When you're chasing the money, when you have this scarcity mindset, oh, if I fire them, I'm not going to have another massage therapist can work for me. Oh, if I send this client out the door and give them this refund, I'm going to go broke. Ditch it. Just do the right thing. Let people know you're doing the right thing. You don't have to brag on yourself, but just educate them. Like, this is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it. And when you take care of people, the people will take care of your business. And I learned that so deeply during COVID. Focus on the people first, and the rest is just gonna fall into place. So that's the North Star that's guided me ever since.
So how do you spread that magic to other owners, like franchise owners? Because that's going to be, I think, a whole different challenge.
Because I think I don't sell a franchise the way I sell a massage. I award a franchise. It's an interview process. And if you're not in alignment with our goals and our values, then you don't get a franchise. It's just not worth it. Because again, I want to care for the people. I'm not chasing the money. Like, why am I doing this, Beverly? I'm doing this to heal as many people as I can, to create a safe and welcoming and inclusive space for anyone, regardless of gender identity, sexual orientation, background, like whoever you are, you're welcome here. I'm doing this to provide, like I said, healing touch and transform the industry. And if I don't have the right people on board, then I'm not taking care of my people. And so it's this lengthy discovery process. They get to know the business. I get to know them. And when we find someone who's in alignment with our values, then it's a pretty easy sell. Like, you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And if you cut corners, then we cut your contract and you don't have my franchise anymore. You follow our values and do the right thing. I'm not just going to hand them out like Oprah with her cars. You get a franchise, Like, it's a lengthy process because I want to make sure that we're partnering with the right people. Yeah.
So many of our clients are purpose-driven, really heart-centered, service-based business owners, just like you, Amber. And I feel like this idea of just taking care of people is so inherent to this.
Yeah.
And it's important to me because that's how I view business as well. Like, I am incredibly honored to be on a journey with them to build a business. It's hard, it's fun, it's magical, it's everything. And it's just such an honor to be on that with them and to help them like come into their own, awaken their magic and get really clear. I just think that's just a lovely thing. And when you keep it person-centered, heart-centered, that's just such a powerful thing that I think women have just changed things in that. Not that men can't be heart-centered. I love my men clients, don't get me wrong. But I do think that women inherently, their leadership is more heart-led. And I love that so much about the people who come on the podcast and the people that I work with.
Wow.
Amazing. It's nice to hear you express it that way, that it's about the people. Obviously, we all want to make a living. We want to have a good life. I also have the same kind of umbrella where the people who work on my team are a real estate office or a legal firm where they have their own sub business under us. And it's giving them an opportunity to grow their business as well. And that to me, mentoring and leadership is really important. So it always has been about the people for me. And I love that. It's such an incredible insight because I think it's such a differentiator for those lovely heart-centered people that it's wonderful. If you're a listener and you are that heart-centered and what Amber has shared has resonated with you, I would love for you to follow or subscribe to the podcast because we share these kinds of moments a lot with the guests that we interview. And I think you'll really resonate and it will be very powerful and encouraging because sometimes being a heart-centered leader can have its own unique challenges. It's a great place to get inspired and also hear that you're not alone in that process.
Hey there, you've just finished part 1 of the Sparking At Your Marketing episode. How are you feeling? Excited, inspired? But we're just getting started. Next Tuesday, we're dropping part 2 and you won't want to miss it. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter so you'll be the first to know when it goes live. Until then, take a breather. Let those ideas simmer and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Spark and Ignite Your Marketing podcast. I hope you found today's conversation or activation be something clear and actionable that you can take back to your very own business. If you found this helpful, I'd love it if you take a moment to share your thoughts in a review. Not only does this help us see what's working and what you'd like to hear more of, but it also helps other business owners just like you find the sparks that they need. And if you know someone who could use today's tips, why not share this episode with them? A little inspiration can go a long way, and together we can help more people simplify their marketing and make their business shine.